All right, let's get started. Yellow, everyone. For those of us who are just joining in, welcome. I'm Ifoma Halim, the brand and comms manager here at MTN Business, and I am delighted to welcome you to today's Ask the Cloud Expert webinar. This is your opportunity to ask those pressing questions you had about MTN Cloud for the betterment of your organization and its goals. I will get started by introducing our cloud experts on the call. I have with me Onome Ologe. He's the senior cloud architect here at MTN Nigeria. I also have on the call with me Tobechukwu Ajoku. He's a senior cloud expert or architect, I beg your pardon, at Dell. So it's really a pleasure to be here. We are excited. We can't wait to receive the many questions that you have about the platform. Just by show of hands or messages, it will be good to know just where you're from. Are you based in Lagos? Are you based in the diaspora? What organization are you representing? You can just leave a chat. And yes, it will be good to engage as we go along. While you're dropping those comments, a few house rules. Please give me a few minutes to pull them out. The first being that this session is being recorded. So please kindly take notes, and we will share the replay with all participants, I beg your pardon, afterwards. Secondly, we have a Q&A box that would require you to submit your questions. And nice to meet you, Kende. Nice to meet you. Please submit your questions at any time in the Q&A box, and we will address them during the Q&A segment. And then just encouraging you to engage as much as you can. So yes, leave questions, but also comments, insights as we go along. So the very first part of our session is a walkthrough of the MTN Cloud. And this will be taken by Tobechukwu Ajoku. So I'm going to give Tobe the floor now. And let's get started. Tobe, over to you, please.
Hi, okay, thank you, Ifoma. And good morning to attendees, good morning to colleagues, good morning to everyone joining from anywhere. Well, it could be evening, it could be night where you are, but thank you for joining all the same. Just give me a second, I'll share my screen shortly, then we'll walk you through the cloud environment. Okay. Right, so. All right, do confirm when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. All right, so the first thing you will see when you come to MTN Cloud would be the page, the interface where you put in your details as an organization or as an individual. You're entering what your organization name is, you're entering who your admin would be, email, and so on. After that pre-registration point, you're given access by email to a URL that will bring you to this console. So my walkthrough will start from this console, which is the console itself where the cloud resources and management sits, right? I'll just put up one of this and use them as login. So this is a test account. And now for a new customer, this page will be bare because you currently will not be having any instance deployed on any cloud, right? But the first thing you should do as a customer who has just onboarded on MTN Cloud is to walk through your own account. So let me take you through that. Now, there are a couple of tabs on the top here which by simple implication, but what they look like, the mean, can give you a hint to what you're looking to where to go to. So this operation gives you the daily activities you need to do as somebody who has already set up your cloud. Provisioning is where you set up components for your operations, for your cloud, for VMs, services, and so on. Library is where you store information, scripts, templates that you would intend to use in the future, right? Infrastructure are the core, infrastructure components of the cloud that would aid you to deploy and manage your environment. Backup obviously is for backing up your system. Monitoring is for ensuring the health, keeping an eye on the health of your components. Tools are some other kind of components that you use to ensure that you have ability to control and manage your system. So you're system like ciphers, archives, image builders. And administration is where we're going to, where you administer your organization. This is now more or less a people thing. Who are your co-users within the cloud? What rights do they have, and how are you able to keep an eye on what they can do, right? So I mentioned that the first thing you do here is to come in and check out your own accounts. So let's get into it, right? So there's the user settings at the top right corner. Just after clicking on your own name, you see that user settings. So this is it again, user settings. User settings brings us to the page where we update any information you think needs to be updated here. So you have email, you have a password. You want to change your password from the one you use at the point of login, this is where to do it. Then something that's very important here is to key in a default name and password that will be used for your instance deployment. Now, you'll be deploying either a distribution of Linux or a distribution of Windows or a version of Windows Server, image. So for each of those types of systems or OS you deploy, you're supposed to enter a username and a password for them. So I'll just do that for my Windows as well. Okay, and also a password is entered. Okay, just complete this as well. All right, so when you then save this page, what you have done is you've ensured that your instances, when they are deployed, you know the password to use to enter into them after their initial deployment. So these are not just things you enter, without taking note of them. They're important. They would aid your access to your VMs after they are created. So I'll just save this. Proceed to the next page. Now, the second thing you will want to do is to check out your organization, right? So just under your name, you have the tab that says administration. Okay. Here you would have ability to create roles. Okay, so for this account, I've created 2 other roles. So my own role is called the customer admin user, right? So this tenant admin user role is for the customer. The tenancy is administered off from this place, and you can also branch off of this role. Now, basically what this is saying is that if you want to create sub roles that are not already listed here, or people you want to give access, or teams, or a particular group of individuals you want to give certain access, you can branch off from this, and I will just do that now. I'll create a dummy role and call it team webinar. Okay, participants. Assuming we all had access, so this is where we'll be. Now, I'm defining that at entry, this person or people that have this access will be landing on the landing page, which is /this. Just for play, we can actually turn it something else, it's /instances. So this is where I want them to land. I could make it to maybe custom page so that if this is a role for the FinOps guys, they only, when they land on the system, they would see the custom page first of all, but let's leave it for the current root path, which is the full path to the environment. So I'm creating this, but I'm branching off of the customer admin user role, which is, I'm saying that that will be the highest level this role can have, but then I want to strip it of some capabilities. Let's say for backup, I want to take off backup entirely for this person. And I say I want him to not be able to manage roles, so he can't create new persons. He can't create new roles on the individual, on the platform. And he can also see other users, right? So just for this test, that's all I'm taking out from this row. And that being done, I can then proceed to creating a new user. Give me a second. Okay, so that's all I want to take out from this row. All right, you can see that all other accesses that were available to the initial customer admin user is here. I've only just stripped out 2 other components of that capability for that role. Then for the users, I can create a new user and call it webinar. Just the same name. Give an email to this to call it webinar at mtn.com. Now, why is it important? It's important to have some other team members within the organization who can also have access to your system. It's called business continuity in organizational planning, right? And it's important not to have a single point of failure for what you're doing. So even before you start deploying your instances and stuff, somebody else should have some access to your system. A second. Okay, taking time to do this, and I save it. All right, so we'll log out from this user that we just logged in from and get into the new user we just created. We gave him a name which we called webinar. The proper login to your account would carry your customer name and the name, the username for your system. You will see that by email when it's sent to you. And this should give this user access to the platform. So we have a new user who have logged in, right? And one of the things we hid from him is ability to create users. So for administration for him, he can't create new users, he can manage roles and so on. So you can see that that has been implemented. So that is all he has here. And this person can log in and work alongside yourself and become, to a large extent, a backup to your role. And obviously, beyond just backup, you would have to onboard a couple of other members who will, work alongside yourself as a customer admin user to also manage your systems. It could be network experts, it could be security experts, it could be your infra people, it could be your auditors, it could be your FinOps people. But roles need to be defined and to ensure that other team members can also participate, in ensuring a healthy, resilient, and working environment. Okay. All right, so I'll stand up from this again. We've done what we needed to do, and we'll just go back to my core user. So we've set up our own accounts, ensuring that we have access to deploy VMs and that we have users with their right passwords to log into it. We've also ensured that we have sub-members of the team who have also been onboarded on the platform for business continuity and also for organizational separation of functions and roles. So the next thing we're down to get into the technical activities of ensuring that your systems, your applications are deployed or your servers are running or whatever, needs for which you have onboarded on the MTN cloud. Okay, so let's get to the dashboard again. So the dashboard here shows me that I have 7 instances deployed on a cloud. Like I mentioned, you would have only one. You have anyone here at the point of entry because it's obviously a new customer. Okay. So I could have deployed this across the 2 MTN zones or AZs. I could have deployed across 3 of them or 4 of them. Whatever number of clouds I deploy into, I'll have that number listed out here. But this will be the general number of the count of instances I've deployed across all of the clouds or the AZs I have onboarded onto. Okay, so that's dashboard. Reports allows you to look at your tenancy and generate reports around how your costing has gone, instances and what they're costing you, containers and their history, guidance, and guidance is important for tenants. We have put this here because we know that you will need to run optimally, as a customer on our platform, paying the right cost, but also not overshooting your own internal budget. So this guidance gives you ability to look at your systems from the view of what am I utilizing on the system? Are my resources enough for the processes I'm running? Or is this system oversized? Okay, so it allows you to stay optimal within the cloud environment. And this also gives you cloud inventory of all your instances installed. Analytics is like the same thing. So this was the guidance we talked about earlier. It provides you insights on your system. So this is a pretty new account. So guidance looks at your system over a period of time and can then advise you based on probably 30 days counts or 60 days and stuff. But this is for an existing customer who has run his instances for a period of time. So this measurement can then look at the metrics over a period of time and say, yes, you have used all of this, but this system is oversized, or this is undersized. This is how much it costs to scale up, or this is how much you save to scale down. But that is there on the system. Costing gives you ability to see how much you've consumed over a period of time, your usage and invoices, activities and approvals are for keeping an eye on what is being done on the system, right? Okay. Provisioning is at the root of technical activities where you're looking at deploying your virtual instances and so on, right? But before you get to provisioning, one thing I tell cloud users is you need to plan your infrastructure. What's the plan? I want to deploy 2, 3 virtual instances. I want to have them on the same LAN or 2 different LANs. One to be front end, one to be back end. I want to have this kind of access to my front end, this kind of access to my back end. My front end should get to my back end through these ports. Have that diagram out, have it planned out so that from inception, you're doing all you need to do for each of the layers of the service. So for instance, if I've planned my architecture properly and I say I need to have 2 different networks, one will be a LAN that will be publicly facing, the other one will be entirely, behind back end, and only my front end applications, will have access to my back end. The users from the outside cannot get to my back end. Then by doing that, I know what kind of network I need to deploy. I know what kind of where to put a router, where to attach the networks, and where to place my VMs when I deploy them. So that planning is important. I prefer you put it on paper. I prefer you have it something handy and not just in your mind. And so that when you start out, you have the ability to move from A to Z without unnecessary hitches in between. Okay. So before we deal with provisioning, which is where we all want to go to, we come to infrastructure. So like I mentioned, your network is very important. You have planned your IP scheme, you know how to or where you want to deploy them. Okay, so you have that plan and going on. The other thing is for a new user, before you can deploy infrastructure anywhere, you need to define where you want to deploy them. Okay, so I have my plans or what I want to do, my network, I I've sketched out my VMs. I'll put a router here, I'll put a security group here, and so on. But then you have to onboard a cloud. So this guy doesn't have any cloud yet. First thing he has to do is to come to provisioning and go to catalog and onboard a project. Now, projects are logical separations. In some other world, it will be called a virtual data center. So MTN Cloud will provide to you what is called a virtual data center as a resource pool or a project that will allow you to logically separate all of your resources in that project from other projects. So a customer can have 2 or 3 projects separated logically on network, on infrastructure, on access, and so on. So I'll just create a project, call it webinar. And so this should start with a small letter. So this is a webinar. Okay, immediately I click on the order now, I would get an email that informs me that a project has been created. That email, when I see it, I'll pop it up to the screen. But we'll give some time while I get that email. I'll proceed on the other explanations. But before any deployment at all is done, whether it's network, whether it's VM instances or routers or whatever, you must have that logical separation for your service, because nothing else will be available to be done until that is available. That has been created. So back to the infrastructure, and we'll wait until we have a project before we can create anything, right? At the infra level, we can create networks. So I went to infrastructure, I went to networks, and I have ability to choose my cloud, which is the AZ one, which I'm currently onboarded on, and define the name for my network. But down the line, I will need to create this on my webinar. You can see the webinar has been created. I call it webinar Dell. So that account, the resource pool like I requested for has just been created. It's called webinar. And then I can call it webinar plan. Okay, I can copy the same name and put it across different components of this description, and give it an IP CIDR. Let's say 192.168.30.0/24, and I make this 192.168.30.1. My DNS could be the public DNS. Now I leave secondary empty. I want it to have a DHCP server. I want to be able to override the IP schema it gives me in case I've already planned my own out. But one thing you should know is that you should leave out your gateway, you leave out the next IP to the gateway, which is 2 for internal processes. I want to disable IPv6. I want to also ensure that I have the right settings on all of this. All right, that being said, I can create my network, having chosen the right resource pool to place them. Now, in case you have 2 resource pools or 2 projects or 2 virtual data centers, as may be, you have to select the right one. You can see here I have 2. So I'm selecting that whatever I'm deploying going forward will be on the webinar project that I just created. Okay, that resource, that network would be created. I should find it somewhere here in creation. So that's it. Webinar LAN is being created. The next thing is to decide on, so is this one of the networks I called back end, or is it going to be front end, and so on. So I want to put a router within my environment. Let's see whether it's finished. Okay, so it has created that webinar LAN. I can see a subnet provided as well. The next thing will be to provide a router for that service. Okay, so I create a router. I put it in a data center, and I call it webinar router. And I place it on a resource pool, which is my virtual data center. Give a second, this is still loading. All right. And when I have provided this, I will be attaching my internal LAN to it. Okay. Give a second for this to reload. Let me copy this out. I'll come back to the router creation. Okay, so the next part of the infrastructure, we'll come back to the router creation. The system is account is just created, so it will be loading infrastructure capabilities to my account. So give it a while to complete that. Okay, so after the network and infrastructure components, which is where we created a network, and we had to create a router. We'll come back to this. We have security groups, which are I'll just open one of this. So at inception, you will find the default security group, which gives access to the console to access your VM. So even your virtual instances cannot be accessed from the console until explicit access has been given. So this is the console itself creating access for the console to get into your VM, right? And that gives you access to the system. Now, in the future, as you also access your system externally, you will need to create your own security group, which would then you will defining which IP addresses or which locations you want to allow access from, what ports you want to accept those connections from on your system, and also how you want to ensure that all other accesses, are explicitly denied, while only the legitimate traffic from your trusted partners or yourself, are carried through that system. Okay, just 1 second. Let me see if I got the email I was speaking about earlier. Okay, so great. Let me pop this email up and show you. So when we created the project, we expected to get an email. Here's the email. It says your project is ready. And it tells you how the project will be named. The name of your project, as seen on the console, will be your project name, the one provided, hyphen your tenant name. And that's why you saw the tenant name for this tenancy that I'm working on is called Dell. And you'll see that it had those two appended to it. So we had webinar hyphen the tenant name on it. So I just wanted to show that while we check on we'll check on the router creation and see if it's ready to create now. Second. Let's see. For the webinar router. Just pull this. Yep. So our resources are able to create now. So 1 second. So I'm assigning this network, the public network 1, to the router, which will be my publicly facing, and this is where I will get my public internet IP addresses. Under here, I've chosen to attach my internal network, which means that network will have access to the router, and where required for a particular instance, I can also assign public IP from the routed pool on this router onto it. Okay, so that is being added. So a router has been created, being attached to my network, and then we would go later to provision instances. But let me run through the other components of this for the system. Okay. So here, after infrastructure and storages, have something else you need to look out for. So on the system today, we have the S3 buckets, or the S3 compatible, bucket systems, which allows you to, deploy services that require object storage. So these are object storage services. And to provision this, the action comes from catalog, the same place where you went to initially to create a project. So you see your MOS called MTN Object Storage. We'll go to the process. I won't go through all of that here, but by ordering here, creating an order, and access will be shared. Access will be shared to me that will allow me to onboard my object storage to this environment. And that will also be usable for my instances or my applications sitting on the MTN cloud. Okay, we'll come back to that. Once I get the email, I will also pop it up, show you what that looks like. All right, so we've talked about the networks and the storage. Backup is where you create backup jobs. And I will just show this. Backup jobs require a location for your backup. Okay, so this particular user doesn't have the backup rights. However, with the right assignment, you'll be able to back up his system to a particular location within the set storage sites. One of the things you can do here is, let's go back to backup. Let's go back to the storage site a bit. Bear with me. That for the different storage, object storage you have, you can decide to designate it as a target for backup. Okay. And when that is done, if this storage is still existing, oh, okay, so I don't have access to this for a moment. Okay, so with my email, give me a second. Okay. All right, so this was the email I spoke about. You will get this kind of email that tells you that a bucket has been created for you. It gives you your user access ID as well as your secret key, provides you the endpoint URL for you to use within the MTN cloud, and so on. So this is an object storage, which you can then use within the system. So I was speaking to the fact that your buckets are a good place to, let's see whether this one will work. Okay. Now, so when you create that new bucket, these are already existing buckets and they are already designated for some other access and use. But your new bucket will become a place where you can describe it as a destination for your archives, a destination for your backups, and can then be used when you're creating your backup jobs. Okay. Monitoring, like I mentioned earlier, gives you access to see the health and the status of your VMs. So you see what kind of response time that the systems have. This is 0 milliseconds, which means from the console here to the VMs, there is really no time lag, no latency between accessing them. So these are very healthy. The access to the VMs are also very good. So I can see that I have some sad instances here, which just tells me that one of my VMs have either been shut down or brought up at intervals, and I need to look at it. This gives me total availability of the VMs I've deployed here. So based on the up and downs I will have done, shut down, and so on. But there are no incidents, so the systems are working well. And this is for my own activities. If I go ahead and I would do this, I will show this. If I go ahead and shut down any of the existing virtual instances that I have here, action, stop server, then it will start impacting my availability here shortly after that, because this is availability for my own instances running on my project or in my environment, and not about the data center itself, and not about MTN Cloud. So your actions, the frequency in which you turn off your VMs, you put them on and so on, reboots will impact the availability of your own instances within your environment. Okay, tools are important place to go to when you're looking to, add ciphers and secrets for your applications and services. Okay, we talked about administration, talked about some other tools. Archives provide you sites from from your object storage sites, can become places where you deploy resources that you want to use within your system. Okay, so things you want to reuse, things you feel you can bring up in the future and use, instead of discarding them, can be stored on your archives, but also on your environment. Okay, so we've run through the tabs on the top here. Let's go down to provisioning and do from real technical deployments. All right, recall that we created a network and we gave it a name. So sorry, let me just take it back again. To create a VM, which is at the at the foundation of infrastructure deployment, you have to come to provisioning and go to catalog and go to instances. Sorry. On the instance page, you will see existing virtual instances there, but you will also be able to create a new one. So I have the add button there, which I just clicked. You have the different distributions or OSs for Linux and also Windows, right? We have Ubuntu, Debian, and CentOS here, as well as Windows 2019 and 22. I choose to deploy a Ubuntu 22 version. I'll be choosing the cloud where I'm deploying them to, which is the group and cloud. I could alter this naming or leave it like this, but this just gives me, a well distinguishable naming pattern, which says it will carry the initials of my name, carry my account ID, and append this behind it with a sequence, right? So let's just make this easier for everybody to see this VM. Webinar VM. Okay. I can leave this other ones blank, but this is just to define. I've defined development, testing, staging, and this environment. They are not, anyone can be chosen depending on what you're deploying and how you want to tag them, right? I can tag this also as the webinar, for instance. It's for easy find on the system. Okay, so I have Ubuntu 22, like I said earlier. Then I can choose my different service plans or t-shirt sizes, as called in the industry. So I have different t-shirt sizes. Basically, the G stands for general. After that, you'll find a number that speaks to the number of CPU cores or vCPUs that you're deploying. The S stands for small, in this case. Then after that, you have the number that speaks to the amount of RAM in GB that you're going to deploy with that instance you're picking, right? You can go down to other sizes. You have general enterprise, but this is now medium. You have general enterprise, also large instances, right? So let's pick something that is manageable for this customer. I will just pick a very small. Okay, then I have to choose my resource pool or the virtual data center or my project, depending on how you want to call it. But it's called resource pool in this environment, so you choose one. I can define the size of my disk, right? My root disk is currently 10 gig. I can make it 20. Then I can choose the networks that I've already defined. So currently within this Webinar Dell project, there's only one network created, which is what we did here. So I choose to have that network as my point of deployment. Sorry, put it on the LAN. And I can leave the availability zone empty, so it's system auto select. My security group is still loading. Why is that? Okay, I can put my public IP address. Just give me a second. Okay. My public IP address, I've been appointed. I had initially added this network to the router as a designation from which I would have a public IP provided. So that has been given, and moving forward, I will be able to get an IP address from this location. Okay. Then other components here can be skipped, but you can see that a user will be created, and this user will be the user that I provided earlier with the access keys I gave it. So with the password I provided, it will have a name called host name, belong to default. I can choose my time zone. Let's make it Lagos, Africa, Lagos. And agents will be installed on the system as well. And this is to ensure that I have ability to take inventory. So the system can monitor the cloud environment itself and tell me when there are issues and how to manage them. So that telemetry requires that the agent be installed. Just give me a second while I look at this. So that's a very important component. Do not skip this except you intend not to monitor your VMs or you want it to be entirely back-end. Now, if your VM would not have internet access and it will not be attached to a network that has a router pointing to the internet, then it will be advised to skip this because installation will not be possible because the system will not eventually need to have that telemetry, essentially because you want it to be entirely back-end. Give me a second, please. 994-303. Okay. All right, I'll hold on this as I make a change to the system. 1 second. Okay, something we skipped was to ensure we had appended a security group at this point. That is still loading. Just give me a second. So like I mentioned earlier, the access from the console to your virtual instance requires that a security group is attached here. And from the flow, your first security group that you should attach to the VM at the point of creation should be the default security group. Okay, let me duplicate this page and ensure it has loaded. Now that will sync automatically into your environment because it is it's predefined with the right IP addresses for the console as well as the right ports for access. Without that security group, the VM will not be granting access to the console to be able to manage or control it. So give me a second. Let me see that that's loaded now. Where are you? Okay, so let me just restart this process. Restart this process. Refresh my screen and do this again. I'll just run through now since I've already done it before. How this webinar be. Okay.
Hi, Toby.
Yes.
Yes, please. So you have about 10 more minutes.
Okay. Right.
Can you cover ground within that time window?
Yes, we should be done with this VM creation by then. Give me a second.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I would just keep this security group adding because it's still probably just loading and try to skip this agent installation for now and proceed to the end of it. Then we'll come back to that process of accessing from the console, which is very, very important. Give me a second. All right, so the VM creation takes a short interval, right? 7 minutes at max, but it will be somewhere around 3 minutes when it's fully created, and we'll check that out. And the process is easy peasy. You don't need to do anything again. Once you've gone through the initial process of adding the right name, putting on the right network, and so on, everything then works out straight up from there and allows you to complete that. Okay, so at this point, we might just, instead of waiting for the whole 3 minutes, maybe start taking questions. We'll come back to show the screen when that VM creation is completed, right?
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Toby, for that walkthrough. I trust that it was very helpful for those of us on the call. So as Toby has rightly said, this is the Q&A session. So please, if you have any questions, any questions at all based on what he's talked about, your concerns, anything really about MTN Cloud. We have experts who are here to address them. So just leave your questions in the Q&A box. If you're having difficulty doing so, feel free to drop them in the chats and we will be on hand to respond accordingly. Giving us some time to drop those comments. We also have some frequently asked questions, which we've spooled. So maybe as everyone is putting their questions together, we will get started with these. Right. So the very first is for Onome. And the frequently asked question is, can the MTN Cloud be explored for free? And what are some of the provisions that are available for this freemium usage? So Onome, please, the floor is yours. Can the MTN Cloud be explored for free?
Yes, thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
I get this
absolutely.
question a lot, so I'm not surprised that it's coming up tops from our customers out there. Currently, you can explore the MTN Cloud for free. All you need to do is send an email to the letstalk.ng@mtn.com email address. Let us know you want to explore the cloud platform for free. We'll create a sandbox environment for you where you can play around the cloud platform, get to see some of the nice things that Toby has shown now, try it out yourself, play out one or two of your own case scenarios to see what the cloud can do for you. But in the next couple of months, I would say before 2026, we would have an update on our cloud.mtn.ng website where you can click on that link and pretty much do the service, do the process yourself, which will be self-service. So you wouldn't require sending an email to the letstalk.ng@mtn.com email address. You can pretty much go there, click on the link, and run through the process where you can create your own sandbox environment for a stipulated period of time, of course, with restricted resources, but a full feature set where you can go ahead to test our cloud platform. Now, we are very excited about what we have built, so we want you to try it out. We want you to tell us what your experience is. It is an iterative process for us, so we're going about making changes, improving so that we can deliver services faster and better. And like we say, it is built for us by us. It is our cloud, and all of us have our input into making it better or to make it what we intend it to be.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Onome. Chooks has a question. He's asking, can someone have more trainings so as to know better about MTN Cloud and help with onboarding customers? So he's asking about trainings. Chooks, worth mentioning, so this will be the first of many webinars. So feel free to attend these as we go along. Of course, we're also on hand. You can send an email to letstalk.ng@mtn.com if you ever have any questions and need clarification as you use the platform. Another question that came up is from Okikiola. Okikiola is asking, are there provisions for GPUs? If yes, do they come with drivers pre-installed? Are there provisions for GPUs? And if yes, do they come with drivers pre-installed? So on a to be, any thoughts?
Okay. Let me turn on my video. All right. Thank you, Samuel for that question. So this is the question we've been expecting, and we're working, gathering information around the market, around the requirements for specialized, and we categorize it around specialized hardware requirements. Okay, Kigiola, you want to send us an email on the same email that Onome mentioned earlier, talkcloud@mtn.com. So we understand exactly what you need around the GPUs. But yes, this cloud is backed by one of the biggest hardware infrastructure providers in the world. And whatever requirements we have around infrastructure can be provided. But let's have your requirements as we analyze the market and put a direction to what we need to do next. But at the moment, as of today, the GPU service is not there on the cloud, but it's something we're putting together as a specialized requirements for customers. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And Onome has dropped the email address, so it's letstalk.ng@mtn.com. Again, letstalk.ng@mtn.com. Sam has a question. Toby, I don't know if this is related. He says, any plans to have managed Kubernetes? I hope I pronounced it correctly. Any plans to have managed Kubernetes?
Yeah, it's correct. I think Toby is camera shy today, so I'll take this next question before he comes
Okay,
off.
Onome, go for it.
So Kubernetes is one of the past services that we've had a lot of customers ask for. Somewhere during the course of this conversation, we'll talk about our roadmap. Toby is going to talk about it, where we'll share just like a flashcard of what our Q1 2026, Q2, and Q23 going forward, what we intend to do for the cloud roadmap. So I can tell you straight off the bat, Q1 2026, we're going to have PaaS Kubernetes services up and running on the MTN cloud. Currently, we have customers running their own containers on their own virtual machines where they get to manage it themselves. So I think we have about 2 customers who are currently doing that. But for the PaaS Kubernetes service, that is scheduled for our 2026 Q1 delivery.
Awesome, thank you. I hope that answers your question, Sam. If there are any other questions, please feel free to drop them either in the Q&A box or in the comments section. I will move on to the frequently asked questions in the meantime, just to keep the ball rolling. So this question is for you, Toby, and Onome, please also feel free to chip in.
Okay.
So people are curious about cost comparisons, right, between MTN Cloud and others in the market, like say AWS, especially with regards to Naira payments. So can you just shed some light? What can people know on this?
Okay. So this is a question we've gotten several times, and no doubt it was going to be there on the frequently asked questions. Yes, obviously, I want to compare price. I want to make sure I'm spending the right amount in comparison with other providers. So the MTN Cloud is situated here in Nigeria, provides some level of advantage. So you can always, log into the interface and see what the prices look like and compare for yourself. One of the things that we are taking advantage of is all of the policies that the MTN Cloud, being local in Nigeria, meets and provides, safety for our customers. We understand that operational climbs, when they are different, will also bring difference in pricing, right? But there are tangible costs and there are intangible costs that you have to bear when you go to cloud. Those costs might not just be how much you pay out, but some other things you will need to consider. Compliance, for instance, real-time access to your environment, for instance, where your customers are in Nigeria cannot be better except you're seated in Nigeria. And when you put all of those costs together, right, tangible and intangible, the MTN Cloud provides way better, total cost of ownership and also cost in itself to our customers than any other cloud provider anywhere in the world. But yes, you can compare, and you can see where those pros come in for the MTN Cloud. Anyway, do you want to chip in here, please?
Yeah. I was itching to speak to this. So just like you said, we expected this question, and I've had a lot of customers reach out to me directly to talk about the MTN Cloud and the price comparison, which for a lot of people is a huge value proposition. What I want to speak to, it's like the bigger picture. First of all, if you consider any cloud service, AWS, GCP, or Azure, you find out that prices for cloud resources differ from region to region. Now, this variation is as a result of resource availability in some regions. A lot of it is about economics of scale, the cost of service delivery in that specific region. Now, if you take a look at Nigeria as a whole, the macroeconomics makes it difficult for us to have that price comparison between MTN Cloud and AWS or GCP because it is not apples for apples. You cannot compare MTN Cloud in a developing economy to, say, AWS or Azure in a very developed economy. If you think about the cost of infrastructure delivery to power the cloud or to run the cloud services would generally differ. Now, that said, our prices are very competitive. If you take advantage of all the propositions that we're bringing to you. One of them is payment in Naira. The other one is local hosting. So in terms of latency, you're getting the lowest latency possible. In terms of compliance for organizations in the FSI space, that data sovereignty, data compliance are really important to them. You're able to achieve that. So like my colleague Toby spoke about, there are costs that are tangible, and there are also the other value add that you get from being hosted on the MTN Cloud. And a couple of the CFOs of financial players that I've spoken to are super excited about the fact that they can pay in Naira. So things like forecasting, financial planning, all of that is easily taken care of because you are not burdened by the price fluctuations in the forex market, because you are paying in Naira, and you can go ahead and plan with that for the next foreseeable future. So these are all the services that come together that we deliver on the MTN Cloud, which, apart from the comparisons that we have with the other global cloud players, we can clearly see the differentiator of the value that MTN is bringing into the market. So please go ahead, check our prices out. I'm sure that if you compare everything that we've mentioned now and the extra value that you get, you see that it's pretty competitive.
That's good to know. Thank you. Thank you, Onome. Following that line of thought, another FAQ is, what measures are in place to prevent unnecessary racking up of cloud bills by users? So what measures has MTN Cloud put in place to prevent unnecessary racking up of cloud bills by users?
Okay, so Tobe, if you don't mind, I'll take this one, and for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
We have a team of certified FinOps practitioners, me being one myself, lending our expertise to our customers to help them manage their cloud spend. A lot of times people think about cloud and they think about cost reduction. That's not always the case, especially when we just pretty much take the on-premise mindset and copy and paste it into the cloud. So what we do is helping them put their money where their mouth is. What services do you want to onboard? Our advisory services cover things like helping customers understand their digital estate, helping them look at the life cycle from deployment to decommissioning, and what tier of cloud services that they need to onboard, helping them to closely manage what they have deployed versus what they are using. Now, apart from that, we have, I think, I'm not sure, Tobe, if you showed that. I think I saw it in one of when you were showing the walkthrough of the cloud platform. We have the cost management part. Okay, good. Where you can set up budgets and you can get alerts looking at the threshold that you've set to help you further manage your cloud spend. And our resources on the MTN Cloud are built by the hour. So you just go there, provision what you need up to the hour, and you can go ahead to decommission. You don't have to rack up the cloud costs. So we have the fact that we have advisory services where we get to talk to you, our in-house FinOps experts, talk to you about your cloud spend, your cloud resources, helping you put in place things like financial accountability, cost management, monitoring, and things like that. Then you have the cost monitoring part, which is on the MTN Cloud, where you can set budget alerts to pretty much set a threshold for the resources or a cap where you get alerts from the spend that you have on the cloud platform. So,
Thank you. Thank you for that robust answer, Onome. So Okikola has a question. I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name well. Okikola has a question. So it's, when we have servers stopped, not deleted, do we pay for the persistent disk? How does billing relation to servers work? Are there discounts on reserved instances, or are there options for reserved instances? Let me take it again. When we have servers stopped, not deleted, do we pay for the persistent disk? How does billing relation to servers work? Are there discounts on reserved instances, or are there options for reserved instances?
okay, so I'll take that. This is kind of a fallout of of the first question, the financial question. So yes, we do have reserved instances. I can tell you straight off that we offer a 15% discount on 1-year RIs. So if you have any compute resources on the MTN cloud and you want to commit to paying for 1 year upfront, you get that discount right off the bat. The other question that you asked about, do we pay for storage? I think that goes without saying, is standard practice across board. When you stop a service like a virtual machine, the compute part stops running, but you have the persistent disk that is holding your files and is holding your settings or configuration that you've programmed into the virtual machines that you deployed. That is the only part that you pay for. So if you stop virtual machines, you're not paying the full price as you would have if you were running the virtual machines. And that variation is coming from the fact that we have taken off the cost for the compute and you're just paying for the storage that is holding the persistent data, like you rightly said.
Awesome. We hope that answers your question, Okikiola. The next one is from Afikode Biodun. The question is, does MTN Cloud support integration with third-party software such as EDMS and MS Navision 2018 on-premise? Toby, can you take that one?
Okay, so EDMS would be, well, Navision, I know Navision, EDMS, I think it's an acronym, I need to find out what it is, but Navision is the billing system I propose. There is an ERP system. Yeah, so the platform has high level of integration. It's a quite integrable system, and I think I missed that at some point. Let me see if I can find it. So integrations, right? Okay, so sorry, let me share my screen. So a couple of integrations are possible on the system and allows our customers to deal with their own enterprises, on-premises as well as on the cloud with a similar level of policy and tooling. Okay, so I went to library and integrations. A couple of integrations are possible for the system. So these are integrations around automation, and some other level of integration as well. When we will go to storage with integrations, we'll go to alerting with the integration as well. Okay, but we need to just streamline, know exactly what you want to integrate and what function it wants to do for you on the cloud. You want to ship your logs to some other components for your, a better view around your infrastructure across different platforms where you exist. That also is possible with a login export capability on the platform. So there are a couple of integrations, but again, it needs to be something that adds value to your cloud tenancy and also provides the right integration components to interfaces to the CMP that we have here. And this is for the CMP itself, but from your application to integrate to anything you have external, that is possible. Just with the right exposure from your systems, you can provide those integrations to your own third-party applications on premises or on other cloud, and you're able to use them in that way. So, so let's discuss what you want to integrate. Let's see how it works, and the right accesses on your platform you can integrate to your, different tools as well. Okay.
All right, thank you for that, Toby. So Africode, please feel free to send an email to us. Let's talk.ng@mtn.com, and we can discuss what you'd like to integrate and next steps for that. Okikiola has another question. He or she says, does support come at an extra cost? Onome, please can you take that? Does support come at an extra cost?
Oh, no, not at all. The straightforward answer is no. Support doesn't come at an extra cost. Currently, we are very much dedicated to making sure that our customers enjoy the services that we've built on the MTN Cloud and are able to deliver business value. And we know that there are different tiers of support. So for now, customers can go to the MTN Cloud. If you recall, Toby shared the URL when he was doing the walkthrough. You have the support part where you can click log a support ticket. We have a very robust ITSM organization that is backing up the MTN Cloud. We have dedicated managers that will look to the tickets that you've logged from the time that you've logged it up to the time that it's been resolved, according to the strict SLAs that we set up for the different classifications of tickets that you've logged. So if it's just informational, or if it's business critical, or anything in between, we have our SLAs as per when those issues will be resolved or when we'll respond to you. And those are the SLAs that will follow. So please feel free to check out the MTN Cloud. You see the support part just like Toby had shown, and you can very much log a ticket or let us know any concerns that you have or any challenges you're having enjoying value from the service.
All right, thank you. So another question, is MTN looking to make any components of its services open source in the future for community contributions? Also, infrastructure as code option, is that coming? Who'd like to take this?
Okay, so I'll take one half of that question. I guess the way we'll take the other half to just my run through it. For the infrastructure as code option, we currently support Terraform. We are working somewhere in our roadmap to have the CLI option, but as of today, you can use Terraform to pretty much deploy any resources that you have on the MTN Cloud. We know that there are other IAC tools out there. There's Bicep, there's Ansible, there are CI/CD pipelines on GitHub. All of that is going to come, but for now, we do support Terraform right off the bat from the services that we've deployed. Toby, you want to speak about any other? Sorry, I really need to see this. Toby, you want to speak about any other open source components in the future for the community contributions?
Yeah, well, I think this will just be in the journey as we so we are just off the ground with an enterprise grade cloud, and as we journey in that in this path, we'll probably be having contributors, having partners, having people who want to sell services off the MTN Cloud, robust providers within our ecosystem. And this is the cloud is supposed to drive, development, not just for the cloud itself, but for an ecosystem of providers within Nigeria and wherever we sit. And we are hoping that, this would also spur organizations who develop IT, who develop tools, who develop components to build robust components that can be, used on the cloud by other cloud members. So at that point, that would be open sourcing in a way, but also providing value for customers in that sense. But every other kind of open sourcing for contribution, it will be roadmapped in the future. I guess we'll get there very soon.
Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Onome. We have room for just one more question. I don't know if there's any that someone has been itching to ask before we bring this to a close. One more question. Okay, we have one here. The question is, hello, Onome. This is from Marv. Hello, Onome and Tobichukwu. It's great to be here. I've spent some time using MTN Cloud, and I believe, please confirm you can hear me, by the way. Sure.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. So Marv says, I've spent some time using MTN Cloud, and I believe that pricing transparency and technical knowledge sharing are two crucial areas for broad developer adoption. My question is, what is the roadmap for publishing technical content like architecture, deep dives, and best practice guides on a public blog? And are there plans to make pricing for all tiers publicly visible on the website to remove friction for new users evaluating the platform? So a roadmap for publishing technical content like architecture deep dives and best practice guides, and plans to make pricing for all tiers publicly visible. Unfortunately, David, we won't be able to take this question, so you can just send it to letstalk.ng. Because of time, we're actually way behind. So let's just attend to Marv's. Yes. The floor is open.
Okay, thank you. Mavs, I really appreciate this question. And I recall when you sent an email out to request for access to the MTN Cloud. Thank you for the feedback that you have shared earlier. Roadmap for publishing technical content, that will be up in a couple of weeks. By a couple of weeks, I'm going to stick my neck out to say before the first week of next year. So all of that, the publishing of the technical architecture, every information about the MTN Cloud, availability zones, what the regional SLAs are, pretty much everything that Toby has shown. Now, all of that will be available. You can currently see the price information when you select the particular SKU that you want to deploy. But I understand you. We are also working to providing a pricing URL where you can pretty much go and see all the prices of all the different SKUs that we have, and you have that information to plan whatever services that you want to deploy. So the timeline for that is very, very likely before the first week before the end of the first week of January, and this is something that we're working on. If you don't mind, I just want to give two for the price of one. David, I'll take your question. There,
Okay.
there are reseller opportunities. Please reach out, send an email to the letstalk.ng@mtn.com. I'll be looking out for your email because we're also interested in partnering with people like you if you're a hosting company to see how we can resell the MTN cloud platform and the resources that we have.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Kikiola.
So as we bring
noted.
this to a close, thank you, Marv. Thank you, David, for your questions. As we bring this to a close, final thoughts, next steps, what would they be, please? Onome and Toby.
Okay, Toby, do you want to go first, or you want me to take this one?
Yeah, well, I'll just start by saying thank you for joining the webinar. So we've built an enterprise-grade cloud, and we've roadmapped a couple of the questions we've gotten here today around open sourcing, around integrations, around Terraform, and so on. Our roadmap, and we are rolling them out, for customers to enjoy. We're hoping that this will also support development across Nigeria, having a robust cloud within the country that is priced in Naira. And people can come in, even try at the moment, and also gain some knowledge around how the cloud works. So what we'll just basically say is contact us, make that contact, write that email. Let's have you come test the cloud, but more so onboard your enterprise-grade services to the MTN Cloud, because we are ready to host you, we're ready to provide you best-in-class, enterprise-grade cloud service. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just take a cue from one of our executives, Linda Sentowa, for one of the things that she says a lot of times is that the MTN Cloud is powering Africa's digital economy. So this is not just a cloud for the purpose of cloud sake. It's a cloud to actually drive the digital revolution for Africa. So if you're talking about integration to other telco APIs, integration to other services, if you're talking about co-creation, if you're talking about resell opportunities, like David said, we want all of that to come in. Please reach out to us. We're excited about what we've built, but we will also want your input. And that input is going to come from use. And like I like to say, this MTN Cloud is built for us by us. So it is our cloud. We want to get your feedback. We want you to tell us what you think about it. We're on an iterative journey, so we're going to be making changes based on the feedback that you're getting. At the end of the day, we'll not just have a cloud that we are proud of. It's going to be a cloud that will drive the digital economy in Africa. Thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome. A big thank you to our cloud experts, Onome and Toby, for the insights provided. Yes, Oluwatu saying for us, by us. A big thank you to our guests for taking time out of their busy schedules as well to participate. We love the fact that you kept this very engaging with the questions and the comments. Please keep them coming, especially in future webinars. This will be the first of many. We want to ensure that you have all the insights available to make the best use of MTN Cloud. Any inquiries at all, reach out to us, letstalk.ng@mtn.com, and stay tuned to your inboxes for the next scheduled date. Yes, we will be sending the recording to attendees. So in case there's anything you missed, maybe during the walkthrough, you can easily pick up on it. All right, so do take care. Thank you for the MTNers. Thank you to the MTNers rather that joined us as well. Thank you for your support. Everyone, do take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.